Good evening and welcome to round two of Reread, Rewrite or Burn. As you can tell, there are 30 book titles in here. I'm going to pick them out in groups of three and say whether I would reread the book, rewrite the book, or whether I would burn the book. I have done a video of this before with 18 books, I think. So I did 6 rounds of books that I previously read this year. I've read an additional 30 books since then, so I decided to do it in 10 rounds basically this time. I just thought I'd make it a bit longer. So, I'm not going to bore you with the details. You know how it works. I'm just going to go straight in and pick out 3 books. So, I know what the books are because I've obviously read them and put them in here. So I know that I've read all of them since whenever I last did this, which I think was March. So this is between March and June. So I've got my 3 selections. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Target Alex Cross, and Don't Tell Mummy. So, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a YA mystery novel by Holly Jackson. It follows a young girl, Pippa, who looks into the case of a young girl that was murdered 5 years previous. The murderer was found out, he then committed suicide. The case has been closed, so Pippa's just looking into it for a EPQ project for school, just to try and get some extra credit. And she then believes that the guy that was accused of the murder was not actually the culprit, and goes on a personal mission to try and find out who actually committed the murder, or at least find out the truth, and if it was him, prove it more than it actually was the first time round. Target Alex Cross is a book about a police officer called Alex Cross. I can't really go into too much detail because this is book 28, I think, of 29 that are currently out. And it follows prominent people within the government of the United States being assassinated, and Alex Cross is trying to figure out why this is happening. There is also a secondary thread that I enjoyed, which I think gets discussed more in this coming book that I have not read yet. And Don't Tell Mummy is a true story from the author of her personal experience as a child, where she was sexually, physically, mentally abused by her father, and how that has impacted her mental health and her life on such a dramatic level. And now as an adult, she is looking back at that and re-examining that and the impact that that has had on her. So for these 3 books, I would say I'd burn Don't Tell Mummy, because if anyone saw my mental health-a-thon vlog, I was not happy with it. It hurt me in so many ways. I think it was such an important story to tell, but reading it did break me. So I don't want that book near me again. So I don't want to reread it. I don't want to rewrite it. I want it gone. I would rewrite Target Alex Cross, because I feel as though when I was reading it, I did struggle to read it. I felt as though it was okay. It wasn't up to the usual standard of what the Alex Cross books were. Also, I remember from this book there was many perspectives, because it showed the assassins of these people, but there were about 4 or 5 different assassins, and it showed all of their perspectives. I'd take a couple out. They're not that important. Yeah, so I'd just rewrite that. Change a couple of things, and I think it would have been 5-star, top-class book. And that would mean I would reread A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because I did absolutely love it. I thought it was fantastic. No complaints whatsoever. Yeah, amazing. If you've not read it, 100% would recommend that. So, round 2. We have this one, and this one. So, we have Come Again by Robert Webb, Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, and The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. So, Come Again by Robert Webb is about a woman who is struggling to deal with the fact that her husband has died of a medical condition, and she is going to commit suicide the next day. Then, the next day, she wakes up in the body of her 18-year-old self on the very first day that she met her husband for the first time. And she decides this time, considering she is in this body again, she's going to save his life. Catching Fire is the sequel to The Hunger Games. It is the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy, which now has 4 books in it. The book follows Katniss as she has left the first Hunger Games and the impact that that means in terms of an uprising and cheating the Capitol, who are essentially the government, and the implications of what that means now. So The Turn of the Key is a book that follows a young nanny as she takes a residential job, and one of the children that she is tasked with caring for is murdered, and she's arrested for the murder despite protesting that she is innocent, and the story follows that. So, safe to say I would burn Come Again, because anyone that has heard anything about this book on my channel will know I was not a fan. I really enjoyed the first parts of this book, but the ending... I've never seen an ending go off the rails so much. It literally obliterated any love I had for this book. Like, it destroyed itself, so I'm done with it. No, never again. I would reread Catching Fire because it is my favourite of all of the Hunger Games books. I love it. Don't have any complaints. I think it is excellent, so that's fairly clear. And The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, I would rewrite. I think that was fairly obvious. If anyone's seen my review for this, you will know that I had issues with it. If you've not, check it out. I just felt as though, considering this book told us what the plot was, you know, from the blurb, from the start, it didn't get into it until the last 100 pages. And I felt as though that was just a bit pointless. I thought, why am I reading this book? To find out what happens at the end, because we know what's going to happen at the end, because clearly this book spent ages developing that. And then I felt as though it wrapped up in the last 2 pages, and I was a bit like, oh, right, alright then. And at the start of this book, I did this as a buddy read with Brooke. Me and Brooke bounced around so many theories, and those theories that we came up with were so much better. So, yeah, just rewrite that, change a couple of things, bring the action forward and actually make it a significant part of the book. And it'd be great, it'd be fine. Round 3. Also, I forgot to mention, here is my Rudolph is my bestie mug. Everyone loves this mug, so I feel as though I have to give it a shout out every time I hold it up. So, shout out for the mug. Right, round 3. 1. I've got another one in my hand, I might as well use it. 2. And 3. The Outsider by Stephen King. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. And Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. So, The Outsider is a horror thriller focusing on the brutal murder of a young boy. It is an airtight case. They have DNA evidence. They have witness statements of who the murderer is. So they immediately arrest him. They know who it is. Case closed. Until evidence comes to light that this man, who they 100% know did it, has an airtight alibi for being in an entirely different state at the same time of the murder. There's video evidence, DNA evidence, witness statements, conclusive proof that he did not do it. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is the Hunger Games prequel that has very recently come out, and it follows President Snow as a younger person, and he is tasked with being the mentor to the District 12 girl in the 10th annual Hunger Games. Little Secrets is a new book by Jennifer Hillier. I read this via ARC, so I know the book recently came out just after I read this. And this book is about a woman that is struggling to deal with the fact that her son was kidnapped while she was caring for him, and it's her grief around that. Then she finds out her husband is having an affair and is determined to keep what family she has left. So, I think this is the hardest round. This is the hardest round because, honestly, I really enjoyed all of them. I would reread Little Secrets because I gave that a 5-star review. The others I gave a 4. I love this. I thought it was excellent. I was shocked. I was amazed. I cried. 100% would reread. I love this. So between The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and The Outsider, I don't know. I would rewrite The Outsider because I felt as though it was purely thriller, and then midway through it did a big flip into horror. And I think if it had have kept on the line of the thriller and come up with a really interesting story, I would have loved this so much. But it did a flip. It kind of took a cop out, which I don't like. I don't think it was that bad. It was fine. I rolled with it, but I did feel a bit cheated when I found out originally. So I'd rewrite that, keep it as pure thriller, and then sadly I would burn the salad. I would burn The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't want to burn it. I thought it was a great book, but really it didn't need to be told. It was a story that didn't need to be told. I'm happy knowing about it. I'm happy to read about it, but I don't think I've learned any more about the Hunger Games world because of it. So it wasn't really that necessary. It was great to read, but not necessary. So I would burn this. And again. There's 2 here, so that's 2. And 3. The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. The Million Pieces of Nina Gill by Emma Smith Barton. Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. The Perfect Child is about a couple who work at a hospital, and a young girl is brought in. She is completely undernourished. She is covered in blood. She was found wandering a parking lot. She is 6 years old, and they decide, this is terrible. We don't think she should go back to that home. We don't think she should be allowed to go into the care system. We were looking to adopt anyway. We will take care of this girl. And they adopt this girl, and the girl forms an immediate attachment to the husband, Christopher, and immediately rejects the wife, Hannah, very, very badly. And this girl then suddenly becomes quite manipulative, turning the couple against each other. The Million Pieces of Nina Gill follows a young girl who is dealing with the disappearance of her older brother. She goes through a lot of internal struggles dealing with that, and that manifests in a lot of different and difficult ways for her to deal with. Her family dynamic changes, her friendships change, and it's about her trying to navigate her way through life whilst overcoming this grief and loss that she has, as well as how badly her mental health is affected. It's an excellent read. I would definitely recommend it. And finally, Alice in Wonderland is the story of a girl called Alice who ends up falling down a rabbit hole and arriving in Wonderland, where she encounters many weird and wonderful things. Burning Alice in Wonderland. I just didn't like it. I got all the way to the end. I hated every single moment of it. Well, I started it and I thought, oh, it's not that bad. And then I continued and I was like, I actually hate this book. And it's literally so many people's favourite book. When I said how much I hated it, everyone commented saying, that is actually my favourite book ever. And I am so sorry, guys. I really am. I just can't stand it. I really, really can't. I would then... I don't know how I would rewrite The Million Pieces of Nina Gill. I really don't. I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. I thought it was so interesting to read. I didn't personally like it as much as The Perfect Child because I feel as though this brought up a lot of feelings for me that I was not happy with. So I would like to rewrite this just because I don't want to reread this, basically. I would say I'd rewrite it in a sense of it feels really bad to say. I would like to make the character a little more likeable. Because when I read this book, I didn't like her. I really didn't. And I know that was all a part of her mental health struggle. She was turning everyone away from her. But I didn't connect to the character, which made me not want to read the book. So I'd try and make her a little bit more likeable, or at least make it easier to empathise with her and understand the story. Because for me, it just didn't work. I mean, I had my own personal issues with it anyway. So I get it. It's just, that's a difficult one to discuss, really. And The Perfect Child I would reread because I absolutely loved it. I don't want to reread it anytime soon. I've just read it. But if you have not read this book, I would recommend you go and get this book because I don't think you'll regret it. If you like really dark psychological thrillers, do it. Jackie Haha number 2, My Life is a Joke. The Dangerous Days of Daniel X. Turtles All the Way Down. Jackie Haha, My Life is a Joke is a book by James Patterson. It follows a young girl called Jackie Haha, and it deals with her life whenever she encounters things she doesn't like, mental health struggles, real life world struggles. She tackles that by being a comedian, because that is what she knows how to do best. The Dangerous Days of Daniel X follows a young alien hunter whose parents were murdered by aliens, and he now has a list of aliens he needs to kill. So the story follows him as he goes on a mission to kill these aliens. And Turtles All the Way Down by John Green follows a young girl called Aza as she tries to solve the case of a missing billionaire. Really, the story focuses on her life as she has OCD and anxiety, and it's very much a character-based development book rather than plot-driven. So, this is difficult. I think I would burn The Dangerous Days of Daniel X, just because it was fine. The book was okay. Just nothing special. Don't remember it that much. I want to continue the series, but nothing great. I would rewrite Turtles All the Way Down, because I know the plot wasn't the point of the story, but the plot was actually really interesting, and I don't think it got enough airtime, because I really wanted to know more about this plot. And that's literally all I do. I keep all of it. I would literally make this book about 300 pages longer, just so I could read the plot of this book as well. Like I'd be fine with that. So yeah, I'd rewrite that. And I would reread Jackie Haha, My Life is a Joke, because I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And again, so that's what... Oh, I've got 3 right in my hand. Perfect. The Shade of Hetty Danes by Rob Swindles. The Stranger by Harlan Coben. And The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So, The Shade of Hetty Danes is about 2 young children that see a ghost on the local reservoir, and the ghost is believed to be a woman called Hetty Danes, and it's about the kids trying to find out a bit more about her and see whether the ghost is actually real or not. The Stranger by Harlan Coben is about a man who is just living his life, and then a stranger approaches him and tells him that his wife faked a pregnancy and miscarriage years ago to try and stop the marriage ending. Then his wife goes missing after he confronts her about it, and it's about him trying to find out who the stranger is, where his wife has gone to, and then a lot of other mysteries that keep popping up throughout. And then The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins is about a dystopian world where, because of a revolution that happened 74 years ago, each district in the area must offer up one female and male tribute to fight to a battle of the death. And it follows one girl called Katniss as she volunteers to go in place of her younger sister. So, burn The Shade of Hetty Danes, because I enjoyed it when I first read it when I was a child. Now, not so much. Rewrite The Stranger because I watched the TV series, because I enjoyed the TV series. I thought it was amazing. The book let me down because of how much I love the TV series. I just think there was so much more scope, so much more to do with it. I thought it would have been so good, and the book just kind of let me down a bit. And I did this as a buddy read with Brooke again. I'm reading a lot with Brooke. And she agreed with me. I'd watched the series at the time I'd read the book. She hadn't, but she has since watched the series and she agreed the series is a lot better. So yeah, I'd rewrite that. Just maybe add a couple of elements from the TV series into it. It would have been great. And I would reread The Hunger Games because I absolutely love the Hunger Games series. So yeah. $10 Million Marriage Proposal by James Patterson and Hilary Lifton, I think. I don't have the co-author written down. I See You by Claire McIntosh and Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I enjoyed all of these books. I would burn $10 Million Marriage Proposal just because it's probably the one I like least of the books. I thought it was a great book. It was fine. No issue. Did have a few letdowns, but not an issue at all. But yeah, I'd just burn that because I liked it least of the others. I would rewrite Beartown. Don't know how I'd rewrite it, if I'm being honest with you. I thought it was a great book. But again, it was very character-driven, and I'm not a character-driven person. I like reading books with significant plot. So maybe add a bit more plot into it. That'd be my only thing. I said I think the character building went on about 150 pages too long. So maybe just take those 50 pages out. And I'd reread I See You by Claire McIntosh because I did absolutely love it. I thought it was great. So, not really much I can say about it. I just thought it was a great book, so 100% would choose that. So, these are my next three, and then I have two more after this. So, Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. How I Got Lost in London by James Patterson. And The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. So, Good Girl, Bad Blood is the sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it follows Pippa Fitzmaurice again as she recovers from the first book and decides that it affected her too much to ever do something like that again. And then a brother of her friend goes missing and the police won't listen, so she has to take up the case to try and find him. How I Got Lost in London is just a very short novella based on the middle school series that James Patterson wrote, and it's about Rafe Kachgorian going to London and getting lost. And The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis is a prequel to The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and it's about a young boy called Diggory and a young girl called Polly as they are tricked by a magician to going into Narnia, and it's about the creation of Narnia more than anything else. I would reread Good Girl, Bad Blood because I really enjoyed it. I'd burn The Magician's Nephew, which is quite sad because I did enjoy The Magician's Nephew. I just felt... When I read it the first time, it was really good. When I read it the second time, I was like, right, I've read this once. I don't really want to read it again. So I've made the decision to unhaul the books because I don't want them anymore. I've read them once. I'm happy with reading them once. Let's just call it quits. So now I'd burn them because I don't want them again. And How I Got Lost in London, I'd rewrite just because it was fine, but it was pretty much just as it said on the tin, really. And I know it's a kid's book, but it was just lacking a bit of entertainment. So, yeah. So I've just picked out three more, so let's go with them. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I've just threw it away. Whoops. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. And Jackie Haha #1. So, oh, why does this always happen to me? I'd burn The Hobbit. I'm sorry. Everyone's going to come at me because they love The Hobbit. I just liked it least of these books. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. I've learned so much about it since reading it from a lot of people, so I've loved learning about that. But I don't really want to reread it. Don't really want to rewrite it right now based on what the rest of the books are. So... It's time to go. I'm sorry. Based off the two I've been left with, I would reread Jackie Haha 1 because that did have a big effect on me and I loved it. I thought it was an amazing book. It deals with so many issues while still being fun and humorous, which is what you need in a middle grade book. So I'd go with this. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was great. And I'd rewrite City of Bones because as much as I love this book, gave it 5-star, excellent series, thought it was amazing. The chapters were a bit long and I don't really do long chapters, so it took me a long while to get through. Like, I think the chapters were like 20 or 30 pages long each and I don't want to do that. So yeah, I'd rewrite that and just shorten the chapter length. Add more chapters, but shorten them. That's what I'd do. And the final three, which is terrifying because I've read all of these books, but I haven't got a clue what these final three are. Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, obviously. Duh. To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. And City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. Really, I should have known what these were. Oh, this is the hardest one because I think I've given all of these 5-star. I don't know. The Hunger Games trilogy I might have just given a 4-star, but I really did give these amazing ratings. I'd burn Mockingjay. Why would I burn Mockingjay? That's wrong. I can't burn Mockingjay. Now, I'd have to burn Mockingjay for no other reason than I like the other two more. I thought this was a great one, but maybe the weakest of the trilogy. This is what I originally felt. I don't think it's the weakest anymore. I don't think, well, yeah, it probably still is the weakest, but I don't dislike any of them. But because it's the weakest of the trilogy, I'd get rid of this one. I'd reread City of Ashes because I loved it. I thought it was great. All fine, all well and good. And I'd rewrite To All the Boys I'd Loved Before. But I don't know what I'd rewrite it to. I've no clue what I'd rewrite it to. I thought it was amazing. I can't think of how I'd rewrite it. I'd give it bloody different chapter names or something. I don't know. So that was my very stressful game of reread, rewrite, or burn. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you would have done anything different, let me know down in the comments. I really want to know about that. And that is it from me. So please make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell so you are always notified when I post. And other than that, I will see you guys later.